At this point where it's August, we have to start to turn the screw if we really want to make a push to be in the place that we want to.
We were meant to climb on high.
Welcome to Summit Up, your one-stop shop for all things Denver Summit FC, with plenty of side hikes into the greater NWSL landscape, women's sports in Denver, and everything you should know about the culture and community of soccer at 5280. As always, I'm your host, Kaylee, and with me is my co-host, Matt. Now, before we dive into the incredible matchup that we have here to discuss between the two expansion teams of this year, Matt, go ahead, take us peak to peak.
All right, peak to peak, let's go. Run, Jasmine, run. We reported an episode back that Jasmine Ike had been working her way back into the gym post ACL surgery. And as of today, the team posted a nice little video of her running through a tunnel of cheering teammates and across the finish line to celebrate her return to run. We did speak to Kurt about this to make sure that was the case. Jazz was wearing a pretty supportive looking leg sleeve on her left and recovering leg, but the headline is that it was a sleeve, not a brace, and that she was running around. I saw her at the game last night, walking around seemingly uninhibited, still in a sleeve, but seemed good to go and in great spirits. And I think that's amazing. I also think this is a shot across the bow to noted leg sleeve lover Allie Brazier. As far as being the solo sleeve stylist on the team, I guess not any longer. I don't know if we're going to have a little competition. Maybe they change up the color schemes. Yeah, maybe Allie's got some tips on the best leg sleeves for Jazz to wear. I do think Braziers are more style than support, but, a cool sleeve's a cool sleeve. Those of you that don't remember, it was back on March 23rd when someone announced that Jasmine was going on the season-ending injury list with this ACL injury and then having surgery. So this is a really exceptional timeline. I think that clocks out to about 4.5 months to get her back. Kurt said we're still not going to see Jasmine on the field until 2027. But regardless, I'm just so stoked to see her up and going at it. I know she's really, really happy to be there.
I think sleeve stylist should be a little piece that we have going forward. I mean, I like that alliteration there, Matt.
Sleeve stylist. We could bring Tosh in, because doesn't Tosh have like a full arm sleeve and a half leg sleeve? So it could be like tattoos and yeah.
It can mean whatever you want it to mean. Yeah, I like it.
Done. All right. In a similar vein, rest, Nahi, rest. Nahi Garcia posted a little photo dump saying week 1 was done and dusted post ACL surgery. And something I immediately clocked was in almost every one of these slides was Nahi playing a game. I think there was sorry, there was cards. She was doing a puzzle. There was darts. There was that little like basketball hoop you hang up on the side of a door, which just means she's a woman after my own heart, because she knows that the game is life, and also she can't sit still. And I'm right with you, Nahakari. I feel that. So I hope she gets more board games, puzzles, and everything stocked up from her friends and family, so that these next few weeks and months when she's mostly off her feet is still entertaining. And I can't wait to be on the show again, doing the same thing we did for Jasmine, but this time for Nahikari, about her return to run and her return to the game. So we're all with you and hoping for a speedy recovery. Next, welcome to Colorado, Gemma Bonner. We had a little fun this week on Friday, sandwiching in a photo of Gemma training in between the rest of the photos from last week's match day -2 training. And gotta be honest, y'all listening jumped on it. I got personal text messages. Kaylee, I think you saw on IG, we were getting DMs. I think even like the 14ers Discord started popping off. Blue Sky was getting mentions of who is this blonde? Number 13, we don't have a number 13. So that was pretty fun, and it didn't have to last long because the team was announcing Gemma officially the next day on Saturday, which they did. And for those of you under a rock, Gemma Bonner comes in with elite experience at just 35 years old. She's already played in the top leagues of women's soccer for 16 years. She started at Leeds United, then Chelsea, then Liverpool, then Man City, where she met a certain Nick Cushing. Then she jumped over the pond to Racing Louisville in the NWSL, and then decided to go back across the pond for Liverpool 2.0. Her contract with Liverpool just expired on June 30th, which opened the door for Nick to bring her back into the fold and have her be both a veteran stalwart, and we're going to go over this a little bit here in a second, a really good player on this team. We only had 3 center backs going into this summer transfer window: Meg Reed, Ava Gaetino, and Kaylee Kurtz. We've seen Natalie jump in there, but as for natural center backs, Gemma's really coming in and filling that 4th role that most teams have. And I don't think it's just to ride the bench. She, on SofaScore, which we use a lot for her soccer data, she racked up an 8.4, 7.2, 7 and 7 in her last 4 matches for Liverpool this spring. I really think she's a viable candidate to start. Nick talks about this. We'll insert that clip in a second. But another thing that I really liked seeing after the Boston Legacy match was Ava Gaetino huddled up with Gemma, and it really looked like there was a coaching session going on, and that's exactly what you want to see. Here's that clip from Nick at training about what he expects from Gemma bringing to this Denver Summit side.
Who you know pretty well. Can you just talk about how she's adjusted so far and what impact you think she's going to have?
She's a winner. I think the opportunity to bring her here was one that I was really keen to do. She finished with Liverpool at the end of last year. She's captained Liverpool for a very long time. She won trophies there, back-to-back titles. She won with me in Manchester City. Real leadership. Another really impressive mentality for the group. Somebody that's going to help our younger players, somebody that's going to put demands and expectation on our senior players, but also will help us when needed. She'll compete to play as a central defender with Kaylee and Ava and Meg. A really good addition at this stage of the season to push us on and push the character and personality of the team.
What do you think? Another new addition? You excited?
I'm pumped. I think she's going to bring a lot to the team, and I can't wait to see just what that looks like on pitch.
This one was really fun because I feel like as soon as people took a second look at the photo and locked in who it was, that it was Gemma Bonner, her reputation precedes her. Like I said, she was talking to Ava after that Legacy match, and then she immediately seemed to go over and talk to a few Boston Legacy coaches that she knew. I feel like this is like the Kaylee Kurtz, the Lindsay Heaps, the Janine Saunis's, the Abby Smiths. They've been around, played on multiple teams in multiple systems, and just know so many people in this women's soccer family that it's a really cool sight to behold. I will add that Gemma's roster addition puts the Summit at 30 rostered players. We have 4 exemptions to get us down to the 26 player roster max. Those exemptions are the season-ending injuries of Nahikari Garcia and Jasmine Ike, also Jordan Baguette's maternity leave, and the Tampa Bay Sun loan of Faith Weber. Notably, Pauline Perrault-Menin, PPM, she's still out there, kind of floating around. We're waiting to see what happens with that. She is away from the team. We have spoken to some folks that say we might be getting some PPM news shortly to give an idea of what's going on with that move. And if and when that happens, that would open up another roster spot to bring someone into the team. We did talk to Kurt at training on Friday about how he is approaching the summer transfer window, and here's that clip now.
I think we're always trying to evolve, always trying to grow. I think that it's difficult in the middle of the year to add players, especially when you feel good about the group that you've got. But that's not to say that we won't add a player or two. I don't want to go into, where we might or we might not, but there's always movement in, and sometimes there's movement out as well. So looking to fully evaluate things. We'll be working on it straight till, for that matter, till the roster freeze date, right? Because we can do interleague transfers and trades up until that point. So we plan to be active, and continue to build and evolve the roster.
You'll note there we even touched a little bit on how we're building towards 2027, because if you haven't heard, 2027 is going to come a little bit sooner than we thought. NWSL announced that to accommodate for the Brazil World Cup, that the league year is going to start in February, 1 month earlier than was previously expected. So this lines up pretty well that we don't have to take much of a break, because we know someone will be playing in the championship, right? And then just, a few short weeks later, double up,
right back at it.
Go back to back in season 2. Yeah, no sweat. Were you planning to have an off season? I wasn't.
No, I figured it would just be straight back to back. That's what was my expectation was.
Last thing on Peak to Peak, some brief accounting, namely that Victory Plus was bad at theirs. So NWSL pulled the streaming partnership last week, effective immediately. I actually enjoyed Victory Plus. I liked the commentary teams they're having on. It was a really easy way to watch, which is going to continue because the Victory Plus games, of which Summit were set to air 3 in the forthcoming schedule, August 14th against San Diego, September 11th against Angel City, and September 16th against Bay FC. Those will all be available still for free on NWSL Plus. So you can stream, lock in, watch those games, or as we're about to talk about, you can just go on an away day.
Well, as hard as it is for some of us to get to an away match, I know I was not able to travel for this one, but Matt was able to go to the Washington Spirit game, where we didn't get quite the turnout that we wanted. But Matt, tell us all about that game and how it was at Audi Field.
A couple things I want to preface this game with. As you probably heard on the podcast, I'm from Maryland, from the Eastern Shore of Maryland. I've been circling this game all season as a chance to get back home. I love Audi Field. I love that area of DC, right there in Navy Yard and Buzzard Point on the Anacostia River. Highly recommend y'all check it out. But the real awesome part for this was that my little sister and my young nephew and my childhood best friend all came out for this game. We had them right on the front row, field side, for all 3 of their first soccer matches. And I don't just mean women's soccer. I mean soccer match, period.
Wait, Matt, how is that possible that your family, people you're blood related to, haven't been to a soccer match? I feel like this is the epitome of you as a person.
I know, but I think it speaks to growing up on the Eastern Shore of Maryland, which is like a mishmash of Southern beach culture, and NFL is still king. I mean, it was for me growing up. I think we've even talked about this. Like, I grew up a football fan. I grew up a Carolina Panthers fan. I grew up a baseball fan in the Baltimore Orioles, and those were the sports I played. I came to soccer late in life and absolutely fell in love with it. And now my mission of taking NFL fans to a live soccer match where there are no TV timeouts. Well, actually, there are hydration breaks now, so that does throw a wrench in that argument. But needless to say, where the game continues the whole time and you're not just sitting around for 4 hours to watch 16 minutes of actual activity. I got to do that with friends and family, and I was so stoked.
That's so special. I love that you got to do that for the first time with them.
And then I'll wax a little poetic and a little sentimental as well. I mean, going to the game and walking up to the press box, seeing Abby from comms with the Summit, seeing Kurt, general manager of the Summit, up there, it also felt like seeing more family, like taking a trip, and I was right there with people that I'm invested in and care about, and it just kept that same familial vibe that we have here in Denver with the club right there in DC, and that was super cool. What wasn't super cool is that we didn't win the game. I thought this one was a heartbreaker personally, because I really think Summit deserved the win, let alone a draw. We're going to get to the stats, but I mean, the main issue is enter Sofia Cantore in the 61st minute. She hits a wonder goal between Kaylee Kurtz and Tosh Flint. This whole thing starts with Summit looking like they're about to score. Yaz dribbles across Spirit's box like she's trying to line up a slightly better angle to take a shot, gets dispossessed. Ball goes to Trinity Rodman. Rodman counters up and lays off to Cantore. Tosh runs back to emergency defend with KK, and Cantore just curls it in to the top right of the goal. Abby was screened, I think, from getting a sight line, but honestly, I think the shot was too good for any keeper to save it, even one as good as Abby Smith.
Jasmine Ryan cuts it in. Ryan is cut off by Santos, getting it done on both ends. Trying to play Rodman into space. There she is. Cantore through the middle. Sofia Cantore collects. Cantore shot. Wow! That'll light up the night. Cantore, Spirit lead.
A bottom to top team goal. And who does it start with? Lacey Santos just enters this match and right away has an impression on it, picks that ball off, plays the ball forward quickly, and then again, another quick forward pass, and this one touch from Trinity Rodman is everything. If she takes two touches there, and the defenders are to close her down and have time to recover, she sees that she needs to play that forward quickly behind the back line, find the on-running Cantore, who smacks that just underneath the bar.
And I will say we pressed Sofia Cantore in the postgame availability afterwards, and she did admit that the ball took a deflection off KK, a very fortunate deflection to put it on frame to the goal. Who knows what happens if that deflection doesn't occur, but I think those are the types of, what do they call, like membership bounces on golf courses where, you know, home things go your way at home sort of vibes. And this was one of them.
Yeah, because I think that if I would have stopped the ball in front of me, there was the other defender coming. So I prefer to stop the ball and go on my right foot, of course, to shoot. Then I tried, and yeah, it was also, how do you say when someone touch the ball? Deflected? Yeah. So this helped me, but yeah, I'm happy because Trin was very nice before the game. She was like, today you're going to score, and she assisted me, so I was very happy for this, yeah.
I think when we look at the storylines for this match, we saw again, Liv Thomas got the start at the number 9, as Nick's continuing to look for anyone who can put the ball in the back of the net. And Liv was pressing her ass off this whole game. Like, that has become characteristic of a Liv Thomas start at the number 9, is just engine up to 11 from the whistle and just wreaking havoc. I think the follow-up storyline to that is that the Summit had 16 shots, 5 big chances, and doubled Spirit's XG, and they didn't put it in the back. I mean, Kaylee, we've talked about it. It's a simple game. What's the one thing you do in soccer? You put it in the back, right?
You just put it in the net. You know, it's so simple.
Just put it in the back. I think even Janine said something like that in the Boston post game last night. I'll have to look for that and cut it and insert it.
And we're not putting the ball in the back of the net.
It's just really simple, guys. You know, you just put it in the back.
You just go, yeah, it's just right there.
Yeah, but I mean, this underscores that the defense is playing really well. Midfield and forwards are generating opportunities. Yet, after all of that, we're just not putting it in the back. And that's a problem. That's a problem we need to fix. But I will take a silver lining here and say that in the 2 matches we've played the Washington Spirit, the number 1 team in the NWSL, also one of those matches was our 4th in existence. Spirit beat us by 1 goal, 1-0 on aggregate in 2 matches against the number one team in the NWSL. The Spirit's coach, the Spirit's players, Nick talked about this in training. Summit might be in a bit of a drought as far as goal scoring and need to look up the table towards the playoffs. But the Spirit, nor any other team in the NWSL, want to see the name Denver Summit pop up on their first round playoff matchup. It's not something they want to see.
Matt, I just got chills like hearing you say that and hearing you say that they don't want to see Summit's name on that first round, because I do think that we have a chance to get there.
I think you start the season with the aim of winning the Shield. You get to this point and you got to be realistic, right? We're probably not going to win the Shield now. But what we can be is the team going into the playoffs that nobody wants to play. And I think if you were to ask Washington Spirit last week, I don't think they want to play us even at their ground in the first round of the playoffs.
I don't know what has to change to get from our 16 shots and 5 big chances into converted in the back of the net goals, but I do believe that it can happen. And I love seeing that. Obviously, I wish that we'd won. Obviously, I wish that we drew. Anything but a loss. But the fact that we are playing to such a level against the number one team just lights me up that, come on, we're so close. Let's just get that conversion. And, obviously easier said than done as a gal who does not play professional soccer. But it fills me with so much hope.
Come on, suit up,
excitement.
Get out there. Let's go. We need you to put it in the back, Kaylee.
I don't think anyone's going to be calling me to sign me as that extra player, but by all means, I'll talk about it all day.
All right. Well, that's fair. This brings me to a conversation I'd like to have. And I didn't prep you for this. So just pretend that you have all the answers. But Coach Cushing, in particular, in the postgame against Spirit, lauded their roster build of, quote, world-class players. He cited that Sofia Cantore goal as the type of game-winning goal that world-class players exhibit doing world-class player things. Even going almost so far as to chalk up the loss to the Spirit simply as Spirit having more world-class players than the Summit do. I'll add that clip here so we can listen before we talk about this next part.
Listen, we're playing against top of the league because they've got 3 world-class players in their front 3. That's difficult to contain, right? And it doesn't surprise me that Trinity played to Cantore and Cantore smashed it in the top corner. It's what you get when you invest in world-class players. You put them in, you can be top of the league, and you can win football games that are really, really tight. We're growing as a team. There's ways that you can accelerate that, and if we choose to do that, maybe we'll be where Portland and Washington Spirit are. You put players in that have world-class level, you can increase and accelerate the ability of the team to get into the playoffs, into the solid positions, and into the championship position. So the window is open. We have an opportunity. If we can do that, would really, really accelerate our ability to execute the game from 1-0 down to potentially winning on the road.
So this isn't the first time we've kind of heard this sentiment from Nick. And I think we may have even heard Kurt Johnson give a little subtweet response in training last week with his line about bringing players in during the summer being difficult. But it sure seems to me like Nick Cushing is banging on the table for more firepower. And I say firepower specifically because the prolific chance creation, but lack of finishing conversion the Summit are in is just baffling. And it seems like we just need someone to break the levee. Nick has been super encouraging that can be Olivia, that can be Melissa. He's saying both of them are working hard and probably just need their one goal to get going. But I think there's a simpler solution. And what I want to bang the table for again is to bring Sophia Wilson home. You okay if I do a bring Sophia home rant again? Can I just
do it?
Can I just do a rant real quick? All right. As we've said, Sophia Wilson is a free agent at the end of this season. So the Summit, they just need to hammer out a pre-contract as they're available to do in free agency for 2027. And then dangle that something or nothing carrot in front of Portland's front office, and Portland is on a downslide. Like, a few more games, maybe playoffs look a little too distant to them, and the carrot becomes even more enticing. But you and I have both spoken to Janine, to Lindsay, about what it means to play here at home, especially at the start of something this momentous in Denver Summit. I talked to Lindsay's dad, Mark, at the game yesterday about how happy he is to have her back from France. And then what we talked about the last game at Centennial Stadium, just how happy Soph's family looked at the end of the match when they could just put grandma in the car and just drive a short distance home after watching their daughter play in a brand new purpose-built women's stadium. Like, I can't fathom any timeline in which 2027 comes and Sophia Wilson isn't starting the season in Evergreen. Can you?
I mean, so Matt, I have a couple of very, 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 very best friends who are more than friends to us. They are family. They were in our wedding, and they are, I don't know if there is a bigger Portland Thorns fan than these people. And so for me to sit and wish and hope and expect and plan for Sophia's return home feels like I'm quite literally shoving a knife in my best friend's chest. So it's hard for me to root for it for my personal reasons. But professionally and fandom wise, absolutely, I'm rooting for this. And I agree, it makes so much sense. In the same way, it made so much sense. Everyone was anticipating Lindsay. That announcement came as no surprise when we heard it the first time. This would also come as no surprise, but my God, I think we would probably hear a collective scream from the state of Colorado when that news, I would say, inevitably breaks. But all I'd say is I feel personally very torn to cheer for it out of my true 4 best friends that live in Portland, and their daughters that go to the matches. But other than my personal reasons, yes, absolutely. I see it too. I see it right there alongside you.
Well, no offense to your friends, Kaylee, but I'll go ahead and say for me, and I think like 63,004 other people, we don't care about those friends. Hate the game, not the player. I mean, if it's your 4 friends' happiness versus the convenience of Sophia's grandmother getting to just like go back and forth from her house to the stadium, like, sorry, your friends.
I can only imagine
people personally buy them Summit Sophia jerseys.
I'm gonna hold you to that then. I can only imagine people listening to this podcast right now and being like,
we better start making money off this thing then.
What I was going to say is I can't imagine other people listening to this right now saying, I don't give a rip about Kaylee's 4 friends in Portland. Yeah, give me Sophia Wilson and her whole families to live in Colorado. So yeah, I get it. Not that personally important to the greater landscape. But I had to shout out my buddies in Portland.
I just personally couldn't be friends with people that don't want Gigi to see her grandparents often. Like, they just sound like terrible people.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, you really went there. I don't know if they are thinking that deeply. But yeah, I think
we
you're
just
right.
lost 4 listeners.
Yeah, we absolutely did. 4 listeners in Portland. But Gigi does deserve to be with her grandma. She's so stinking cute, and family should be together, you know?
Look, if Portland wanted to keep Sophia so much, maybe they wouldn't have given up 5 goals last weekend after Sophia scored one in 34 seconds to open the match. Like, if you want nice things, you got to take care of them.
It's true. It's so true. And Sophia, I know that Lindsay would be more than willing to have you back on the team and take care of you, and you guys could just go win all of the games in Summit Green. Well, Matt, I always love a Sophia rant. Is that all you have to say about the rant about Sophia Wilson, or shall I pause for more elaboration?
I mean, Sophia is just the difference between us making the playoffs and us making the championship.
Well said. Mic drop right there. Well, moving on to game recaps that we still have on the table to talk about. Our most recent game against Boston Legacy. Man, this one really left me with mixed emotions. I mean, on one hand, I feel like there was some resilience shown, which was great. But on the other hand, to me, it really felt like it was 2 points left on the table. The Summit battled back from a first half deficit, earn their 1-1 draw against our fellow expansion side, Boston Legacy, in front of another sold out crowd. I will say the fans continue to show up. There is no reservation or hesitation on the fan side. But after the way the second half unfolded, I just felt wondering, like, what is going on and why can't we just get all 3 points that I feel like we deserve? The first half, the opening 30 minutes were pretty even. Both teams looked comfortable. Neither side created very many clear-cut chances, but it felt like the game was waiting for someone to make a mistake. And unfortunately for Denver, Boston made history. In the 34th minute, goalkeeper Casey Murphy launched a long ball over the top that found Sammy Smith, and then it became essentially Smith versus Smith. Abby versus Sammy, and Sammy finished that chance just like that. Boston was up 1-0, and it was just so everyone is clear, if you didn't see all of the news and tweets and all the social media about it, this is the 4th goalkeeper assist in NWSL history. Not exactly the history we were trying to make or be a part of on this side, but that is a really, really frustrating goal to concede.
And now they're on their heels once again. Jasmine Ryan floating it in behind. The header right into the midst of Murphy.
Yeah, you could see Carrick there breathed a sigh of relief, just gave the thumbs up because she gave a really poor giveaway.
Direct the other way from the punt. It's Smith! End to end, Boston taking the lead. Sammy Smith.
They have to check this. Such a ball that is. Look at that, the technique for Casey Murphy to be able to do that. And equally, the finish from Sammy Smith. Of Abby Smith.
Something they have to check, and it should be very easy. This might be record time. As soon as Mark Verso goes and checks the monitor, no doubt Sammy Smith in her own half, negating the offside. This is going to be her 3rd goal of the season. Of course, it's when the ball came off of Casey Murphy's foot. Where was Sammy Smith? You see she's a couple of yards inside her own half. No offside. The goal will be good.
All day long. And I think this is an example of what divides opinion. Do you let the action play out? And this is an example of when you do. Because 5-6 years ago, the flag goes up. The referee then stops the game. And this is what I think what's good about VAR in these types of moments.
Call for Mark Verso.
After review, number 8 Boston is in an offside position. The final decision is goal.
You know, so it was just a missed moment defensively, and suddenly Denver was now chasing the game. Matt, you were there in person. What were you thinking heading into halftime watching that unfold?
So the thing about this goal was we put it in the game thread. It almost happened in the 11th minute. Casey Murphy, we wrote Casey Murphy basically playing goalie wars with Abby Smith. Goal kick goes nearly to the opposing keeper and forces Abby to come out against Sammy Smith. So like 11th minute, attempt 1, Abby wins. 34th minute, attempt 2, they pull it off. So Janine talked about this later in the game, about staying switched on at all times.
When a goalkeeper with that kind of range gets the ball in her hands, you just got to get in her face. You got to make it tough for her to get the ball off. And the margins are small in this league. You switch off for a couple of seconds. That's from front to back. You know, our front players need to get in front of the ball and switch on. And as a back line, we need to know that the threat is there from a delivery perspective and a pace perspective. So it's a frustrating goal to give up, considering how much we limited them from a opportunity perspective. But, you know, the only thing you can do is go away from these games. Like I said, have a short memory and learn from that. And I can guarantee you that same goal won't be scored on us again.
This was something the Summit should have game planned for. It looked like maybe they had game plan for when this happened in the 11th minute. Also because Abby was being particularly aggressive to come out for the ball this match. And it's something they just switched off on in the 34th minute. And boy, was it a haymaker, because it was right after we thought for sure the Summit were about to score a goal. And for Casey to pull up and just pull this play again, that was a knife, man. But kudos to Casey Murphy. Going into the half, we were joking, most of the game actually, that our game thread looked like a Casey Murphy fan appreciation post. Like she both goalkeepers were, but I mean, Casey Murphy was the difference between the Summit winning and losing tonight versus, you know, like all of Summit's defenders being the difference between Legacy scoring more. But it's only one. We'd been prolific. MK looked like she was on it. She was doing all that pressing we talked about. Liv Thomas doing against the Spirit. She had some really good rips that Murphy had touched away that I thought she was going to get one on the board. I wasn't scared going into half, but I was pretty shocked about the goalkeeper assist. And I will say it provided a really good learning opportunity for folks to find out that you can't be offsides in your own half in soccer. So while Sammy Smith was in front of the defenders at that moment, namely Eva Gaetino, she was in her own half, which means she's not offside.
Yeah, education, all that we are about here at the Summit Up podcast. Helpful to learn. Even
we'll drop 2 points moments. So you guys can have a teaching lesson.
No, I don't want to do that again. I'll learn on my own time. I don't need to sacrifice any points for it. The second half is where it did feel like Denver, was finally responding a bit. Summit came out with a lot of urgency. From what I could tell, they started winning second balls. They spent some longer stretches in Boston's half and started tilting the field a bit. In the 72nd minute, Denver got a breakthrough. Janine Sanas stepped up from the penalty spot to bury it and make it 1-1.
This one delivered in toward Heaps. Almost got their penalty. There was contact in the middle. It was Flint who drew it. Clumsy from Cannavale. Mark Verso points to the spot.
Does not need to do this at all. You can take a look here, Joe. You see she pushes her and just doesn't really need to.
Sonis, her 7th of the season, restores order, all level in Colorado.
What a penalty from Janine Sonis. No glitz, no glamour, knew exactly what she was doing, doesn't hesitate, which is Tash Flynn, and I love this from Janine Sonis, really stepped up. And I like the fact that people probably expected Lindsay Heaps to be the person taking the penalty. Janine Sonis has been really good at it this season, so why change that? Great pen.
3 for 3 from the spot, 7 goals in all.
And from there, it honestly felt like there was only one team pushing for the win. Denver kept applying pressure. The crowd was coming alive. But as you've already said, it was basically a Casey Murphy fan night. And she really just held Boston's back line firm. And we could not find that second goal. I mean, personally, it's great to see that we can depend on Janine for everything, which I will talk about later. But Matt, I mean, just that 1-1 draw feeling right after the match. What were your thoughts going into the press conference?
Yeah, this one was frustrating because it really did feel like we had solved for the defensive stoutness that Legacy opened the match with. And that was probably around 17, 20-minute mark in the first half, they've been doing a low block. Their center backs and fullbacks were retreating for 1v1 defense excellently. And then Summit seemed to break through that. And that's when Casey Murphy started just standing on her head to save the game. But going to the second half, we figured she couldn't do that the whole time. Especially, I think 57th minute, Nick puts in Liv Thomas and Tosh Flint for an explosion of energy. And it looked like Legacy saw that and said, nah, we're not about that life, and just parked the bus. I mean, I wrote in 64th minute with 30 minutes left in the game, Boston are already using throw-ins as de facto hydration breaks and basically crawling at a snail's pace to dead balls to restart the match. So if you're time wasting 30 minutes to go, like, they were happy to try and salt out a road 3 points. And I do think that bit them in the ass a little bit because we got that penalty. And it should have come back at them more. We should have gotten a few other goals in the second half to take the game. The whole crowd was behind everyone. I'll point out Tosh had the whole crowd singing happy birthday to her. Happy 30th birthday, Tosh Flint. That's amazing. That was really fun. Yeah, right after the Roy Kent chants rang out when she subbed on.
Yep. Speaking of the Roy Kent chants, not sponsored at all, but just a personal favorite of mine, Ted Lasso comes out on Wednesday. Same night that the Summit plays again, and also my birthday. So just a little fun fact of Wednesday's news for you guys. But anyways, back to our recap. Yeah, I feel like my biggest takeaway from this game, like my positive side of me, is like, okay, great. We have panicked often right after conceding a goal and looked flustered and scared and whatever. We did not do that. We came out, we were pissed, we were ready to come back and patient, which was great. It was great to see the control. It was great to see a way that they are growing into each other of, okay, move on to the next one. What do we need to do to get one back? So that was great to see. As I already said, it's been great to get used to really just having Janine be inevitable when it comes to PKs. Huge for us. I love seeing her have a big moment, which kind of seems to have it happen every game now. And she's just become one of those players that is so dependable, which is great. I love a dependable gal. So I would say, frustrating to give up that goal right before halftime, but it didn't change our entire night. We didn't let it keep us down. Instead, we came out stronger and more looking like we were ready to try and win. A draw isn't the worst result. It's not the best result. But, I definitely was expecting more. Disappointed we couldn't find a late win, but hey, at least we didn't lose.
It's not the worst result because we both dropped 2 points ourselves, but we kept 2 points off of Boston Legacy, who are nipping at our heels, trying to also climb the table for a playoff spot. So it's good in the fact that we maybe staved them off for a couple more weeks. But it is, I don't want to sugarcoat it. I don't think Janine or Nick did. I thought it was a really bad result. This felt like a loss. Like this, we lost the expansion derby because of this match. I really wanted those Maxinistas to feel shame and tuck their little black swan heads back in the sand out in Boston.
Yeah. I'm trying to keep my positive attitude here, Matt, and I get it though. That's what I want to talk about next is what was that post-game press conference like? I unfortunately could not be there. I was busy fulfilling my other leadership duty, which is matron of honor for my friend's wedding. And we were at her bachelorette party in Santa Fe, New Mexico, which was super fun. All I could think on the drive home was what was going on in that press conference. So here is a look into what Janine and Nick were talking about during that.
I mean, we prepare for every game slightly different based on the opponent, but 90% of the work that we do is on us. And continuing to improve our style of play. And I thought for large periods of the game we really dominated, but when that doesn't result in scoring goals. You leave a team like that in a game and they score a goal in transition. I think in the first half they were in our box maybe 2 or 3 times, and 2 of those were big opportunities, whereas we're in their box 17, 18 times and we're not putting the ball in the back of the net. So it's frustrating to create that much, but the positive of that is when we stick to what we do well and we keep it simple and don't get tired of doing the small things, we're successful. So look, at this point, it's August, we have to start to turn the screw if we really want to make a push to be in the place that we want to. That's 2 games in a row where we walk away looking at the game thinking we should have taken more points. So it's frustrating, but we have to have a short memory because Wednesday's coming quickly. You got to give credit where credit's due for saves made, but we were in positions that we absolutely need to score tonight. And so I know, there's a lot of people on our team that are going to go away and watch this game and be frustrated, myself included. And I think that's just being a winner and being a competitor. You can't leave opportunities on the table in this league. It's far too close from team to team. So, look, we need to score more goals. You can't shy away from the reality of that. But I'm proud of the response. Granted, we feel like we dropped 2 points. It means a lot to me that the team has faith that I'll put the ball in the back of the net when we draw penalties. You don't get penalties when people aren't trying to create in the box. And I thought Tosh and Lindsay both made an incredible run on my cross. And when you do those kinds of things, you put defenders in a tough position. So, I'm glad that I'm contributing in that way. But selfishly, I would rather win than score a goal. So, I think I'm happy with the season I'm having. I think this is the most consistent season I've had. But at the end of the day, I'd trade it all in to be, up in the top 4. So we'll keep working.
Janine, on the goal they scored.
I haven't had an amazing relationship with penalty kicks across my career. I missed one at the 2019 World Cup that eventually, I won't say knocked us out of the World Cup, but would have brought the game. We were down 1-0, would have brought the game to a tie, and the goalkeeper made a save. And kind of ever since then, I was like, I need to find redemption in some realm. But penalties for me are, I wouldn't say free goals, but an incredible opportunity to put the ball in the back of the net. So it's a process, it's a routine, it's doing it consistently every day. I take penalties after training, and it's just one of those things that I'm really confident about right now, and I feel really grateful that the team trusts me in that position. Next moment mentality, next game mentality. These games this week and in September, the 3-game weeks come fast, and we need to focus on recovery and learning the lessons we're going to take from this game, but also understanding that we have a confident North Carolina coming to play us at home. And look, we need to make this place a fortress. We need to make it really, really difficult for teams to come play us here. And that's, I think, what the message will be on Wednesday is take care of yourself, rest, recover, do whatever you need to put in another performance. And I think when I sleep tonight and get up tomorrow, hopefully I can see all of the really good moments from tonight and take those into Wednesday.
We have a game in 3 days, so we have to recover, put our best foot forward, I suppose. I'm not going to come here and be negative towards the players because my players have pushed to get the win, right? I think it's actually a record 38 times in their box, same as the Portland game. I'm just used to winning, and what I like about winning is that the mentality when you're on top is you kill. And that's why the teams that are up the top, I'm used to having a team that's up the top. And that's why I take it personally, that we have another game where we dominate the game. I don't know if I said this last week, but I reflect and evaluate the game based on chances and opportunities. It's evolved since I've been Denver Summit coach now. So for 15 years, I've looked at the game on chances and opportunities. We now look at it on chances, opportunities, and moments. And all those moments are those times when we should create an opportunity or a chance. I'm certain we'll have many, many moments again tonight. And I thought the attitude and the application in the last half an hour to go and chase the game and to push was good. 2 points dropped again. I've been through such a journey in my career that I was really lucky at Manchester City that my team won every week. and we very rarely lost. Then I went to New York, and I was the assistant coach, and the first year we were horrible. Then the next year we won the championship. I made head coach, and the next year, as I was interim head coach, and I won Campeones Cup, which was the Liga MX and MLS competition. And then 23, I lost every week and missed playoffs. But we didn't get in the box then, and I learned so much then around how to attack and how you open teams up and how you have a threat in the game, and that sort of led me to here to being content with the attacking threat that we've got. And at the end, you have to open the game up, right? So my mindset is always, how do we attack more? How do we attack more? You see, I took a 6 off and put a winger on. And that means that they get some counter-attacks the other way. And I'm comfortable there. I'm comfortable. You know, I'm okay to gamble, trying to win, and maybe lose. And I think back then I would have took a point and thought, just don't lose. My mentality is aggressive, go win. Find a way all the time and do my job to the best of my ability. What am I learning about myself now? Is that I'm not content mid-table. This is not me. I'll give you an example. A chance and an opportunity has to have a shot at the end of it. So if the ball goes in the box but there's no shot or no header, no chance on the goal from us, it doesn't count. On 93 minutes, we cross the ball into the box. It's right in the middle of the goal, 4 yards out. Nobody on the end of it, no number 9 across the front, nobody trying to have the desire to get in and go win the game for Denver Summit. 3 seconds later, we defend the corner. Come on. It's not the trait of a winning team. When the ball goes in the box, they kill the number 9s. They're off to the corner flag there to score the winner at Centennial for the second time. And unfortunately, we didn't get that. MK's pushing hard. She's training really well. Her and Liv are really competing for the number 9 shirt. Liv went in and had 3 games. MK's gone in today. We'll look at the recovery of the players, see who's where, and we'll look at not just the number 9, but right across the team to put a team out. Gives me confidence, right? We're in another game where we compete against an NWSL team where we should win. So we'll roll to North Carolina and make sure that we pick a team that can go and put the same performance in. And, we said after Houston, and we did it in Portland. We've got to go again and reset and go again.
Yeah, I think the buzz quotes that came out of that press conference, obviously Nick saying, "I'm just used to winning," that's making the rounds. And I think that's both a fair stance from him and a really fun one to send around the circles and put on bulletin boards when you have a match 3 days in the future. The other, and we put this up on socials, I really liked Janine's take that this was incredibly frustrating. It did feel like dropping 2 points, but the positive is that when you play your game, you keep it simple, you don't tire of doing the small things, you're successful. And I think that speaks to leadership Janine has shown all season. She makes the comment in this post game about how she practices PKs after every training session to be ready for this situation. And it does feel like when Nick's citing things like the slim margins of winning a match or of a goal going in versus not, that it's never tiring of doing the small things that eclipse those margins. That gave me a lot of optimism heading into Wednesday and heading into Saturday. But I'll say again, as we have before, I always appreciate the earnestness when Janine, when KK, when Lindsay, when they come in and do these post games. Like, it's not fluff. These aren't just manufactured quotes. These are real soccer players playing real soccer matches and then talking to real people about the real emotions around those games. And you don't get that everywhere in sports. You don't get that with every club. And it's just one of those things that week in and week out just makes you feel so much more invested in the outcome. And I think when you listen to Nick and Janine speak, you realize how invested they are in the locker room of that outcome.
Couldn't agree more. I absolutely love hearing. It's my favorite part of every match, if I'm being completely honest, which maybe that's exactly why I'm sitting in this chair with this microphone. But just the honesty about their game, their leadership, the way that they're going about the whole season is, like you said, just keeps us invested. And I think the fans really understand that earnest honesty and that drive, and that is why we're having continuously sold out games, be it noon at 100-degree heat or at, the Broncos Stadium. It doesn't matter where we're at. We're going to be there and show up.
Let's talk about that real quick. How much nicer it was at Centennial Stadium for a 7 p.m. kickoff. I mean, it was still 95 degrees, like same temperature as the noon kickoff, but worlds more comfortable. It was, oof. We'll get to test out the 2 p.m. Match window this Saturday and really dial in what our preferred time of day is. Seeing as it's supposed to be 100 again, I have a feeling we're going to aim for the night games.
Yeah. But it also, another benefit of the night games is those sunsets. I mean, there was a gorgeous sunset last night.
Gosh. Stunt on them. I mean, it was the most Colorado experience. I think every fan in the stands did the Colorado thing of like, oh, I have to post a picture of the sunset on Instagram. We did it. We want to still live here, we don't want our residency revoked. Like, Colorado sunsets are just unbeatable, and the one that Summit served up last night at Centennial Stadium was magnificent.
Yeah. Moving on to our next night game.
Well, real quick, before we get to this next night game, there was some chatter in social media on Blue Sky after the game about dropping a result like this to Boston Legacy, affecting our playoff hopes. And as we preview this Courage matchup on Wednesday, I do want to kind of frame what the playoff picture looks like for us. We definitely wanted to get 9 points out of these three, but I'd still settle for getting 7. We are one of the few teams that have only played 16 matches. We've talked about this in previous episodes of having a game in hand and what that means. And so basically it's that 6 of the 8 teams currently in playoff positions have played 18 matches. So they naturally should have more points than us. We can crunch the numbers and see what their point per game pace is. The top 6 all have higher point per game averages, which, is a thing, but we have 2 games in hand, and the teams we are competing for those last 3 playoff spots, so the 6th, the 7th, and the 8th seeds, those teams are the North Carolina Courage, Angel City, Seattle Reign, and Portland Thorns. You saw what we did to Portland Thorns, but then I want to tee up that we play Seattle Reign one more time, and Nick will tell you over and over again, that's a game we dominated. So I'm pretty optimistic on the return fixture for them coming to Denver. We still have yet to play Angel City or Courage at all. So we have 2 games against each of these 2 teams that we'll be competing for playoff spots with. North Carolina Courage, we play on Wednesday. They are also our very last game of the season. So there's a very real conversation to be had about these 2 matchups, determining whether it's North Carolina Courage in the playoffs or Denver Summit in the playoffs. I think I predicted at the beginning of the season 7th on the table. I still think we make the playoffs. I still see 7th as realistic, 8th as my floor. I'm a little too real to say we get 6th place unless Sophia jumps ship and comes to the team. But I wanted everyone, as we jump into this preview for the North Carolina Courage, to realize how viable playoffs are still in our future, but also how important these matches against the Courage are going to be Wednesday and on November 1st, our last game of the season.
That's super helpful, Matt. Thanks for reminding all of us of where we stand and how far this could go for us. On to our game preview this Wednesday, North Carolina Courage versus your Denver Summit FC. Let's see, Matt, what do you have to say about this one?
Wednesday night, Centennial Stadium, Denver Summit face North Carolina Courage. Courage are sitting 7th on the table with 24 points on 16 matches played. Remember how important matches played will start to become. They are 2-0-3. That's 2 wins, 0 draws, 3 losses in their last 5. And I want to draw that out because it was win, loss, 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 win. So it might seem like they're on the up again, but that last win was against the hapless Orlando Pride. They have a They have a +3 goal differential on 26 goals scored and 23 goals conceded. But I think the biggest storyline in the summer transfer window and going into this match is that they've sold one of their best players. I would argue maybe one of their most important players, if not their best statistical player, in Manaka Matsukubo. She's Yuzuki Yamamoto's Team Japan teammate. She's a breakout midfielder for NC Courage. I think kind of the straw that stirs the drink for them. And she now plays for Chelsea. Courage do have a big replacement midfielder signing in Norwegian international and former Atletico Madrid player, Vilde Arisa. But she only played 10 minutes at the end of that Orlando Pride blowout. So it's hard to say what she's going to bring to the field. Also hard to say how much she's going to play in this match against us. Everyone's going through roster or schedule congestion right now. So a Wednesday night match is pretty ripe for roster rotation. So we'll see. We could see some roster rotation on our side as well, which we'll talk about here in a minute. Big storylines. Obviously, Kurt Johnson, we got him from North Carolina Courage. He was there from 2017 to 2024. In his tenure with the Courage, he recruited and worked with current Summit players, Kaylee Kurtz, Carson Pickett, and Ali Brazier. So as we've seen all season, there are some real kind of familial connections between organizations here that will be fun storylines. That it'll always be interesting at the end of these matches to see once the dust settles, who goes and hugs who takes pictures with who swaps jerseys, who's just really happy to see one another. I think given what's happened lately in Summit result land, that Nick is going to really put his foot down on ruthlessness this match. When we get to score predictions, I'm definitely predicting a win, but I think he's going to want to come out hard against the Courage and really solidify the message of put it in the back.
Just put it in the back. I agree. I'm really excited
just
for
put it
this
in the
game. I think it's going to be full gas from Summit. And I think jumping right in, score predictions, I'm thinking it's 3-0. That's mine for this match.
I'm going
Summit win, obviously.
Yeah, I'm going 3-0 too. Solidarity. Let's go. Who are your goal
Let's
scorers?
do it. Yeah. My goal scorers are, I want to see one from Lindsay. I want to see one from Yaz. And I want to see one from Tosh. I'm really excited. I think those three have high potential. And that's my hope. Now, we all know now at this point in our season of podcasting that my hopes aren't always necessarily realistic, but that's what I'm hoping to see for this Wednesday night game on my birthday.
Yeah, guys, this is important. This is Kaylee's birthday game. So I want to see a fellow Kaylee goal from Kaylee Kurtz.
Oh my gosh,
set
that would be
piece
so
goal.
cute of us.
I don't know what's going to happen, but we need a Kaylee goal for Kaylee's birthday. I definitely want to see Lindsay Heaps open her Summit account. And then I want to see Liv Thomas get a goal. She's been working so hard. I want to see her get that goal.
She has been, and she has been quick off the ball. So I think there's a good chance. I think there's a good chance one of us is right for this next upcoming match.
Whoever's right owes the other lunch.
Well, I think that either way you owe me lunch for my birthday. So we'll just settle it there.
Man, I owe your 4 bad friends jerseys, and now I owe you lunch.
Look, you're the one that said the jersey one. You're just digging your own hole on that one.
Well, no one should have given me a microphone. That's just never a good idea.
I think it's been a great idea so far this summer. I want to hear what other people's possible predictions are, so feel free to slide in our DMs with your predictions and your hopes for this game coming up on Wednesday. Any final words, Matt?
Allie did an amazing thing when I got off the flight, came up the escalator in DIA. You guys will have to go back to the social videos of Lindsay Heap's arrival when the 14ers greeted her at DIA coming up the escalator. I forget who it was, but someone like taps Ptarmigan from 14ers on the arm. It's like, Ptarmigan, get the sign, get the sign. And Ptarmigan holds the sign up as Lindsay's. So Allie showed up at the top of the escalator with a big poster board that said, Ptarmigan, get the sign. And I just started dying. And I don't think anyone knew what was happening. But two of us were having a really good time despite the trains having been down.
And that's why Allie's the best. That is hilarious. Oh my goodness. As always, be sure to check us out on socials at Sum It Up Show on Instagram and at Sum It Up on Blue Sky. Till next time on Sum It Up.
Sum it up. All right. Peace.